Hello, welcome to Solo Playthroughs. We are returning to Arkham, but going to do something a little different today. We're going to take a break from Jenny Barnes, go to her rogue brethren, the newest rogue to be released, Tony Morgan, released as part of the Dream Eaters expansion. Now, I have not played Dream Eaters yet, but I am looking forward to trying out all of the Dream Eaters characters, including I am in the middle of a Path to Carcosa campaign with Tony Morgan. So I am 3 scenarios into the Path to Carcosa, so I'm just about to start the Unspeakable Oath. I found myself with more experience than I would normally have at this point, so I do have a 10 XP deck, and with 3 leftover experience, I have decided to do a side scenario, and I'm going to go to the murder at the Excelsior Hotel side scenario. Again, when you do a side scenario, it does take XP. So this costs 3 XP. Now there are some assets that I can hopefully get as part of going through this campaign and this scenario if I do well. But you stick with your campaign chaos bag. So I do have the Path of Carcosa chaos bag, which will obviously have some effect on the experience of playing the murder at the Excelsior Hotel scenario in itself. So if you've never seen the scenario, it's unique. It's got 10 different resolutions based on the certain combinations of things that can happen as you go. And there's definitely a lot of replayability. It is probably it's probably the most well put together side scenario. Haven't played it enough to say it's my favorite just yet. Still have a soft spot in my heart for Ragaroo and Carnival. Abyss is great, but it's way too hard for me to play it too much. It's more like something I'll do as a one-off if I am bored and just don't feel like committing to a full campaign. But lot of wrinkles in here, a lot of things to like. So let's get started. So there is a fair amount of flavor text to begin. Murder at the Excelsior Hotel, room 225, tonight, come alone. All right, so we already did this, we did this. Patrol, agenda, got it. Intro 1. There have been reports of strange occurrences at Arkham's Excelsior Hotel for over a month now. Disappearances, bizarre sightings, sudden closures, sometimes for days at a time, seemingly without warning. It's like something out of a ghost story, but you know better than to simply dismiss these rumors. Too many people have whispered about the Excelsior, and to make matters worse, it seems the stories have only grown more unsettling in the last week. It's time somebody looked into it all. You tried going to the police, but the grizzled and world-weary Sergeant Moreau has dismissed you every time. You've been left to investigate on your own. Asking around at all the local hotspots yields no leads. Belmer's Diner, Hibbs Roadhouse, La Bella Luna. Each visit leaves you with only more questions. That is until today. While walking down Central Avenue in downtown, minding your own business, you bump into a man in a long trench coat. You begin to apologize, but he simply continues walking briskly away from you. It isn't until you return home that you find the note in your pocket, one that wasn't there before. I have answers. Room 225 tonight. Come alone. They're watching. Uncertain of what else to do at this point, you begin making preparations to meet this mystery person. If there is only one investigator in the game, proceed to intro 2. The Excelsior is busy tonight. Either the rumors haven't fazed these guests, or the stories have given the hotel a new allure. Everything seems normal. Hotel staff carry luggage and cleaning supplies throughout the lobby and the main stairway. The man behind the front desk greets you with a curt nod and a thin smile. A uniformed security guard reads the latest Arkham advertiser in the corner, and yet you can't get the note's final warning out of your mind. You stride quickly across the lobby and up the stairs, wondering if you should have let someone know where you were going. Was it wise to come alone? What if you're walking into a trap? You set your jaw and clench your fists as you stand in the front of the blood-red door to room 225, and before you can second-guess yourself any further, you knock. There's no going back now. Intro 4. You sit in a chair in the suite's living room, watching as the man who slipped you the note paces about nervously. He rambles about secret meetings and watchful staff. The entire time you find yourself glancing to the coffee table in front of you and the curved dagger that rests there. He pauses for a moment, pours himself a drink, and raises the glass to his lips with a shaky grip. He then pours a second drink and hands it to you. "This is all going to sound crazy," he says, his voice little more than a whisper. He glances at every darting shadow and twitches at every creak the old building makes. "I'm beginning to feel crazy, but there's too much going on here to just ignore, and I've been a part of it long enough." You listen closely, but his words are starting to run together. His voice is ethereal and wispy, like wind at the end of a long tunnel. You blink rapidly, your vision blurs. The next thing you know, you're on your feet. Your glass drops to the floor, and then proceed to stand up. Alright, so we have all of the cards. Nice thing about, again, these side scenarios, you don't have to worry about getting encounter cards from other sets. They are all self-contained. So we're going to set the following encounter sets aside. This side scenario is a little unique in that it does come with multiple encounter sets built in, as opposed to just one or two. So I'm just setting aside 5 of them. Set it aside that I can see what's going on. Alright, we are setting aside the constructing the act and agenda deck using only acts 1 and 2. So agenda 1 and Act 1. Act 1 is what happened. Your head is spinning as you try to make sense of the situation. Empty bottles are scattered about the room. Your hands tingle. The shadows seem to coil and writhe around you. Were you drugged? Or is it something else entirely? There's an action on the agenda card, the act card. It says that we can spend 1 clue to draw the top card of the leads deck. If the investigators control 2 lead assets, we advance. So that is an instantaneous trigger. We get 2 leads, we do events. The agenda deck says the murder. When you come to, you are standing over the man's body. You recoil immediately at the grisly sight. Multiple stab wounds perforate his chest. Blood spills onto the floor. What in the hell happened here? And why can't you remember a thing? This agenda gets +1 doom threshold because there's only 1 investigator. So we have a doom threshold of 4. Alright, we are setting aside the 10 copies of the true culprit, which is an interesting mechanic which we will come back to later. We begin play with an asset. Here, yep, we begin play with the bloodstained dagger under his or her control. So there's a fight action on there. It's +2 for this attack. Or we can exhaust the bloodstained dagger and take 1 horror. We get +2 fight and deal +1 damage for this attack. If it defeats an enemy, we draw a card. Now, me taking horror isn't the greatest idea, considering one of the things that makes Tony Morgan a little difficult is he only has 5 sanity. And I'll get more into his mechanics before we start to play. Alright. We are going to find each of the story assets from the 5 set aside encounter sets. So we have Time Worn Locket, Manager Key, Tome of Rituals, Sinister Solution, and one more, an Alien Device. Arrange these so I can see the symbols on them. Alright, so we have these 5 assets. We're shuffling them together. This is now the leads deck. And I'll put a resource on them to remind me that this is not the encounter deck. I'll put that up in the top left. And go from there. Alright, put the following locations into play. So we're going to put the restaurant here, the 2nd floor hall, room 225, and the suite balcony. These are all the wrong side facing up. And we begin play in 225. All right, and I'll read that in a second. And the foyer is also in play. The rest of these are outside. So Sergeant Monroe, all 3 copies of Arkham Officer and the What Have You Done weakness are all set aside. And that's that. Do not proceed until the following looter suit. Do not proceed until you are instructed to. That is fine. All right, so here what do we have? Room 225 has a shroud value of 3. It has a clue value of 1. There are 3 tests on it. One is a test of willpower, test 3. If you succeed, remember that the investigators cleaned up the blood. The other one is a test of combat. It has a test of 3. If you succeed, remember that the investigators hid the body. And the third test on there is a test of intellect, 3. If you succeed, remember that the investigators tidied up the room. Now, so let's think about this thematically. We are in a room talking to a man we didn't know. We fall asleep, wake up, and he is dead. And there is a blood-stained dagger, which is now in our possession. So, we obviously look really guilty here. So we can try to clean all this up, or we can try to pretend that we had nothing to do with this. Or we can try to clean all this up, or we can, just hopefully we can talk our way out and explain this to the police. Now, I would recommend doing one or the other, right? So thematically, it doesn't make sense to half clean up the evidence, and then try to explain what's going on. But also, if we try to clean up the evidence, but we fail to succeed, that could also lead to problems as well. So really what I'm saying is you want to do all of those 3 things or none of those 3 things. One of those things will be easy for me in that I have a combat of 5 as a base. But Tony Morgan only has a base of 2 for intellect and only a base of 3 for, base of 3 for intellect and only a base of 2 for willpower. So let's talk about Tony Morgan. Very strong, combat-focused rogue character. I really like him. So he's a criminal, he's a hunter. You may take an additional action during your turn, which you can only be used to engage or fight an enemy with 1 or more bounties on it. The Elder Sign effect is +2, and I can place 1 bounty on bounty contracts. Okay, so I'll explain bounties in a second. The quote on him is, when I find that beast, I'll put it down for good. 9 health, 5 sanity. Tony's tracked down low-life scum in every lousy corner of the world, but nothing could have prepared him for the thing he killed in Innsmouth. It had the form of a man, more or less, but it was covered in loathsome scales and slime, like some horrid creature of the deep. It stank of salt water, rotten fish, and blood. He should have let it go when it dove into the river, but he never let a bounty escape before, and he wasn't about to start then. Ever since, he's found a new kind of dirtbag to hunt. Ordinary mobster or otherworldly monster, Tony will take it down if someone is willing to pay him for it. So he has an interesting deck building option. He obviously, his base is rogue. He's obviously a green character, but you can choose a secondary class. Now in a solo game, I chose Seeker as my secondary class, so you can choose any secondary class other than Mystic. And then the deck building options, you can have up to 10 level 0 or 1 cards, event or skill cards, so not assets, event or skill cards of the chosen secondary class. So I believe I have 9 Seeker cards in here, and then other than that, I have, the rest are rogues. All my assets are going to be rogue cards or neutral cards. All right. So bounties, what does that mean? So when an enemy enters play, I can place 1 to 3 bounties on it from bounty contracts. When I start the game with 6 bounties, this is a permanent card, bounty contracts, and when an enemy enters play, I can put 1 to 3 bounties on it up to its health. So if its health is 5, I can still only put 3 bounties on it if I want to, but these are, again, you use them, then they're gone. The bonus of bounties is number one. After I defeat an enemy with one or more bounties on it, I can take the bounties that I put on it off of it, and I can put it on Tony Morgan as a resource. Think about it. This is Rogue. What is Rogue really good at? Getting resources, usually illicitly, right? So it's a really cool mechanic to just evoke this idea of this guy killing someone. He's a killer for hire. He kills people that have contracts on them, and he gets the money that go into his resources, right? It's very, very well done. However, again, once your contracts are done, they're done. Another reason to have contracts, as many monsters as you can, or enemies as you can, is that it gives you an extra action. Again, you get an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to engage or fight an enemy with one or more bounties on it. The bounties also interplay with Tony's special asset. He has two guns. They are the Tony's 38 long Colts. All right, so we will get to those, and the more bounties you have on an enemy, then the long Colt will actually get +1 in combat for each bounty on it, and then do 2 damage. It's a really cool mechanic there. So there's only 3 bullets though, so what I probably need to do as I continue to build out this deck is to get some extra ammo cards, but I did not take them in my original build. And again, it's the first time I'm playing a campaign with Tony, so I'm kind of just playing out some ideas as I go. All right. So Tony starts play at Suite 225. I am going to do a pile shuffle of the encounter cards that I have in front of me. The scenario guide is that the skulls are -X. X is the number of guest enemies in play. The cultists are -1. If there is an innocent enemy in the victory display, reveal another chaos token. I do not believe I have any cultists. The tablets are -3. You may place 1 or more clues on your location to treat this as a -1 instead. I believe I have 2 of the tablets, and the elder things are -3. If you found there is an innocent enemy in your location, innocent enemy in the victory display, take 1 horror. I believe I have 0 of those as well. So I am loaded up with simply tokens, chaos tokens, tablets. And that is based on, I did resolution 3 of Echoes of the Past, which is the 3rd scenario of the Path to Carcosa campaign. Alright, so I think that's enough of a lead-in. Put this up here, and we will take my Murder at Excelsior Hotel guidebook and put that right there, and we are off. Alright, I'm going to draw my opening hand. I get Switchblade. I have the souped up Switchblade. Again, I used the taboo rules. That did cost me 3 experience. That is a great card. Very happy to see it. Much better than the Bloodstained Dagger, which I will probably ditch pretty quick. I have a Tattered Cloak. I got this as a story asset from the Echoes of the Past. If I have less than 3, if I have 3 or fewer remaining sanity, I get +1 willpower, +1 combat, and +1 agility, and it takes up a body slot. And you also get -1 sanity when you have this on, so you would die at 4, so I would need to find a way to kill it with the 1 damage before it killed me, so to speak. We have Lola Santiago. This is a great shuffle. This is a 3 XP rogue card. Once a turn, I can exhaust her. I can spend resources equal to my shroud value to get a clue. She is a superstar of the rogue class, to the point I wouldn't be surprised if they taboo her in the future. I have Vantage Point, which is a seeker card, which I will not be keeping early, and I have Shortcut, not the souped up one, also a seeker card, which I probably won't need early. So, yowza. So I need 2 lead assets. I need to spend 1 clue to get a lead asset. I want these 3. I'm going to shuffle in these 2. So So I get guts and fine clothes. So that was my mulligan. And we're off. Alright, I am going to I think I'm going to try to clean all this up. I think that makes more sense with how I'm set up for a lot of reasons. Alright, so I'm going to play this. Oh, that's fast. So I can play the switchblade at any time, so there's no rush on that one. I'm going to play Lola, and I'm going to play the. Nope, I'm not going to play the Tattered Cloak because I don't have less than 1 sanity. Lola costs me 3. Gives me +1 investigate. Now I do need to get clues. I'm going to test the thing on 2+5, the combat test. It's a 5 to a 3. Try to start this off with a win. Ooh, the auto lose token. That's not a good way to start. My third action, I'm assuming I'm not going to pull that twice in a row. I have +1 intellect because of Lola, so I'm going to actually try to get that clue. It's a 4 to a 3. I'm looking -1 or better. Skull is X. X is the number of guest enemies in play. So I succeed and I get this clue. Alright. Enemy phase. Upkeep phase. I'm going to draw a card. I get preposterous sketches. If there's a clue at my location, I can draw 3 cards. I kind of wish there was a clue still at my location. And I will take a resource. Mythos phase. Remember, there is now a shroud value of 4 because this is a solo investigator game. So it's +1. So that happens there. And I'm actually going to move the encounter deck over here because I can make use of the space a little bit better. Alright, so Doom, encounter deck. This can go up here. Rock on. So I am doing this. I pulled Noxious Fumes. In player order, each investigator at your location must choose to, I can test agility 3 to attempt to flee the gas. If I fail, take 2 damage. Or I can test combat 3 if I attempt to hold my breath. For each one I fail by, I take 1 damage. So I don't want to move to a connecting location. And I probably wouldn't succeed with agility anyway, so I'm going to do the combat test, which is a 5 to a 3. -4, Jesus. Pulling really good, kids. So I lose by 2, so for each point I fail by, I take 1 damage, which if I had done the agility test, I would have taken 2 damage anyway, so I am fine with that. So I took that 2 damage, I assigned 1 to Lola, and I kept the other for Tony Morgan because I don't want to kill Lola just yet. Alright, so now what do we got? I am going to do the test on the card. Combat test is a 5 to a 3. I succeed, so I'm going to remember that I hid the body. I'm going to do the intellect test, and I need to do a willpower test. I'm going to do a 5 to a 3 willpower by committing 2 cards, including guts. -2, I succeed. So I base of 2 plus 3 icons. I succeed. Since I succeed, I draw a card. I get my flashlight, which is great. So instead of being able to play preposterous sketches, which would cost me 2 to get 3 cards, I just combined it with guts to get the 1 card, and that's fine. So my investigator discard pile will be over here. So I cleaned up the blood. And now with my 3rd action, I'm going to move to the suite balcony, which is connected. Shroud value 2, clue value 1. As an action, I can choose a humanoid enemy at the suite balcony. Test combat or agility 4. If it succeeds, take 1 direct horror and defeat the chosen enemy. So basically, mechanically, you're throwing them over the balcony. I love when Arkham does stuff like that because I just think it's very clever. All right, those are my 3 actions. Enemy phase, upkeep. Ooh, do I want to just take that clue with Lola? Probably not. Probably not. All right, enemy phase, upkeep phase. I'm going to draw a card. Not useful. Take a resource. Oh, that is useful. I can use that for that. All right. Mythos phase. We are going to put another Doom on the agenda. We draw a card. Revelation. If there are no humanoid enemies in play, search the encounter deck and discard pile in play. Pile for a humanoid enemy and draw it and shuffle the encounter deck. Otherwise, the nearest humanoid enemy readies, moves 1 location at a time until it reaches your location, engages you, and makes an immediate attack. So there's no humanoid enemies in play. So I get to search the entirety of the encounter deck and choose the one that I want. So the hotel guest is interesting. So if I took the conspicuous staff, he would engage with me. Because he would spawn in the nearest crime scene location. I am in a crime scene location. Or I can put, he's not innocent, right? Or I could take the hotel guest, but they are innocent and they have other mechanics I kind of don't want to deal with. So I'll explain those when they come up, and I will take the conspicuous staff because I can deal with him now. And he, or I guess there's 2 of them, are engaged with me. And they have a combat of 3, a health of 2. Now, since they are now entering play, I'm going to take a bounty contract. I can put up to 2 on them. I'm just going to put the 1. And the reason I would put the 1 is I want to get an extra action that's going to come with just putting 1 on there. And we'll see how that works. So, it's now my turn, right? I'm going to put the Switchblade in play as a fast action. I get +2 fight. So I have a fight of 7. I'm going to do a 7, 2, a 3. If I succeed by 2 or more, it does 2 damage. So this is my first action. Because remember, putting the Switchblade out was a fast. 7 to 3, -1. I succeed by 2 or more, it does 2 damage. It kills the conspicuous staff. Now, what happens when you kill somebody as Tony Morgan? Forced, after you defeat an enemy with 1 or more bounties on it, move its bounties to your resource pool as resources. Done. Conspicuous staff is dead. That is now a free action because of my special ability. So I'll put a die on there to remind me of that. And now I still have 3 full actions, right? So that was pretty cool. My first action is I'm going to play the flashlight for 2. And that has 3 on there. The bloodstained dagger is going to go away in my discard pile. We should put a, in case I end up reshuffling my deck, I'll put this in a sleeve. My second action is I'm going to investigate. It's 4 to a 0. I succeed. And my third action is I am going to spend a clue using the ability on the act card itself to draw the top card of the leads deck. And I draw Time-Worn Locket, Mournful Vision of the Past. Revelation, put into play in your play area. When you are defeated, give control of Time Lord Locket to another investigator. Alright, that is 1. When I get control of 2 of the leads deck, then we advance. So, we're good with just the 1 for now. We will move on. Enemy phase, nothing. Upkeep phase, I draw a card. Leo DeLuca, great card. I have Lola right now, so see what I do with Leo. But she has a nice little sanity shield for me, because I'm probably going to need that at some point. And I will take a resource. End of the round, I'm going to move the die off to remind me I still have that extra action if I need it, and things come up that allow me to use it. Mythos phase, you put the 3rd Doom in place. We're 1 Doom away from advancing, and I draw the top encounter card. If there are no humanoid enemies in play, Driven to Madness gains Surge. No humanoid enemies in play, we gain Surge. And then I draw Test 2 Willpower. Oh, I still want to do that. Right. So increase the difficulty by 1 for each innocent enemy in the victory display. If you fail, take 2 horror. There are no innocent enemies in the victory display. I'm gonna take 2 horror, I think. So I'm doing a 2 to a 2. If you are a crime scene location, you must also choose and discard a card from your hand, which I am. A lot of little text on these cards. You gotta read them all. Ooh, super fail. So I take 2 horror. I'm gonna put 1 on Lola. Let's put 1 on Tony. And then I have to choose and discard a card from my hand. I will choose and discard Fine Clothes. So my first action is I'm gonna move here. My second action is I'm going to try to tidy up the room, because that is the one I haven't done yet, using those icons. So there's now a 6 to a 3. Jesus. I'm going to do a 4 to a 3. I forget what happens if the agenda advances before the act, but whatever. I'm going to find it out. I really want to do all 3 of these things. So 4 to a 3, gotta win, I think. +1. Alright, so I've done all 3 of these things. So let's see what happens next. Alright. Enemy phase, upkeep phase. I draw a card. Watch this. I take a resource. So I have the clue to get the second lead. I just didn't get it yet. So enemy phase, or I'm sorry, Mythos phase. That is the 4th Doom, so this advances. As you retrace your steps to make sense of your situation, there is a pounding on the door to the suite. This is the police. A stern voice calls out. We've gotten reports of a disturbance. Open up. Put the set-aside Sergeant Monroe into play in the foyer. It's a really cool asset. Spawn 1 set-aside Arkham Officer enemy at the 2nd floor hall. So Arkham Officer enemy, so they go on the 2nd floor hall. So he is aloof and he has patrol, which I'll explain that mechanic in a second. And then there's a forced ability on him and a parlay test. So he's there. Then shuffle each other set-aside Arkham Officer enemy into the encounter deck along with the encounter discard pile. So there's 2 more of those. All these will go in here. All right. For each of the following circumstances, which is true, place 1 clue on room 225 from the token bank and place 1 doom on an Arkham officer. So, for each of the following circumstances, which is true. Is it true that the investigators have not cleaned the body? No. Is it true that we have not hid the body? No. Is it clue that we have not tidied up the room? No. So I don't do any of this. I don't add a clue on 225, and I don't place a doom on an Arkham officer. So that is awesome. All right, happy about that. There are no clues anywhere. All right. So we have Agenda 2. Special investigation. You're not the only ones interested in the strange events at the Excelsior tonight, and the police are on to you. You're still not sure what happened, or if it could happen again. After an investigator at the same location as a ready police enemy discovers one or more clues at the location or deals damage to a humanoid enemy, each ready police enemy at their location engages an investigator and makes an immediate attack. We're drawing our encounter card. Nearest crime scene location, that is engaged with me. I will put a contract on him. I don't think I need to actually. I'm not going to. I'm going to save those contracts. And I'm not going to do that either because I don't really want to attack the Arkham officer if I can help it. Alright. So, we are attacking the conspicuous staff with my switchblade. I'm doing a 7 to a 3. I succeed by more than 2 because that was a -2. So 5 to a 3 is my modified value. Conspicuous staff are killed again. That was my first action. And again, if I had put a bounty on there, it would have been an additional action, but I didn't. So we're good. So I have 2 more actions, which is pretty much all I need, I think. We'll see. I'm going to play this clue using the action on the act deck. And we're going to flip this over because now, oh wait, so when I do that, I draw a top copy of the leads deck. And this time I get the Tome of Rituals, the Blasphemous Volume. Put into play in your play area. When you are defeated, give control of the Tome of Rituals to another investigator. So now since I control 2 lead assets, I advance. It isn't much, but it's all you've got. Your only real option now is to explore the rest of the hotel and see what you can learn. Put each of the set-aside locations into play. Remove the remainder of the lead decks from the game. So these 3 cards are now out. I'll move the scenario card over. Alright. Depending on which lead assets are in play, shuffle the 6 cards into the encounter deck as follows, along with the encounter discard pile. So I am going to take the 3 encounter cards that match with the Time Worn Locket. So they are 3 Chilling Presence. And then the Vengeful Spectre is going to stay aside for now. And then we're going to take 3 copies of Cultist of the Enclave. And the Dimensional Shambler is going to stay aside for now. And I'm just going to put these cards over there because we will not need them. Alright, so we're going to shuffle these and the conspicuous staff into here. So now we're basically just exploring the rest of the hotel, right? We have our 2 leads cards, and what we have also is there are 6 treachery cards that are linked to those 2 leads cards in a way. They're shoveled in the encounter deck now, and then we are going to try to do the task as explained on Act 2. Act 2 is following leads. Thanks to the leads you discovered in the suite, you're fairly sure whoever framed you is still in a hotel. The only real question is where to find this person. Looking at the leads you've found, you feel like the answers are right in front of you. Learn more about your leads by placing clues on them, using abilities on some locations. The more clues, the better. At the end of the round, you may choose to advance if each lead asset has at least 1 clue per investigator. If you wish to present this evidence to the police, you may wish to have at least 2 clues on the lead asset instead. So let's think about this. I cleaned up all the evidence that was in the room. Don't really think I'm presenting anything to the police, right? This is not the kind of guy. Somebody who cleans the entire room is not the same guy who trusts the police. So I really just need to get 1 clue per investigator on these 2 leads and then figure it out. So I need to go to places that are going to help me be able to put extra clues on these 2 leads that I have. One thing I didn't do yet is I need to put the rest of the locations into play. That's an instruction on the back of Act 1. So what is going to go into play here? So we have our foyer. The foyer is connected to a bunch of things. Second floor hall, the restaurant is also connected to the basement. The basement, which I will put in play here. And it's connected to the office, which I will put in play here. So my threat area is going to be a little tiny, but that's fine. I have a hotel roof, which is connected to the second floor hall. So I'll put that over here. And then I have 2 more rooms on the second floor. We have room 212, which says the door to room 212 is locked. You cannot enter room 212 from the second floor hall. Second floor hall gains test. So second floor hall gains this. So if you test for agility to attempt to pick the lock, if I succeed, I can reveal 212 and immediately move to it. So if I'm ever in the second floor hall and I wanted to get to this room, I first need to pick the lock, and that's going to be an agility test of 4, which for Tony Morgan is going to be quite hard. We also have 2, 4, 5. So we need to figure out which rooms we need to go to do these 2 things. Now, I think I remember one of the 2, but I'm just going to play this as if I don't know. We're just exploring the hotel and seeing how all the levers work here. This is going to be a problem. The 212, if I need to get in there, not exactly sure how I'm going to do that. So let's see what I can pull up. Now I get the +1 from Lola. That will help, but yeah. Yeah, we'll see. So this Sergeant Moreau is going to stay in the foyer. So I have one more action. What I'm going to do is play the Tattered Cloak for 2, because that gives me -1 sanity. So I have 3 sanity remaining because I have 1 horror on me. And now I get +1 willpower, +1 combat, and +1 agility. All right, so we need to be careful because I don't necessarily want to, put myself in a place where I'm going to be more likely to die. Because 3 sanity is not a lot, and I just gave away 1 of my sanity to get there. But that could be a really strong, what's the word? Stat bonus, especially if I need to do agility 4 at some point. All right, so those are my 3 actions. Because what did I do? What did I do? I killed the hotel staff. I played a clue to advance the act deck, and then I just put the Tattered Cloak into play. So we are in the enemy phase. So alert patrol. So aloof patrol. What's patrol? Patrol is another kind of hunter, right? And it's a mechanic that was introduced in this side scenario. I'm assuming we'll see it more in the base game of Arkham as well. It might have. No, I don't think it was in the Circle and Done. I have to think about it though. But basically, what happens is, patrol. He's going to move to the nearest location with clues. And so when the hunter keyword would trigger, the patrol keyword also triggers. So that would trigger now. However, there's no locations with clues on the board, so this dude's just going to chill. And why is it important? Because if I get a clue where there's a police officer, remember, he's going to engage me and he's going to attack me. So, it's not something you really want to have to deal with. So you try not to find clues where there is an Arkham officer in the room. So he's going to stay in the second floor hall because this hunter keyword doesn't trigger. He has nowhere to go. There's no other enemies on the board. So what I'm going to do is go right to the upkeep phase where I draw a card. It is shortcut, and I'm going to take a resource. Now, Mythos phase. We're putting the first Doom on agenda 2. We're taking the top encounter card. It's another Arkham officer. He would have gone to my threat area because I drew him, but since he's aloof, the aloof triggers, and he's basically just going to go into my room, and that is fine. They are leaving me alone. Why? Because there's nothing to see here. I was in the room where you think there was a dead body, but again, everything is cleaned up, and we're good to go. So I am going to now take my 3 actions. I'm going to move to the second floor hall, and the second floor hall is again connected to all 3 of these rooms on the second floor. That makes sense. It is a shroud value of 1. a clue value of 1. It's going to be very hard to get that clue considering we have these Arkham officers who are just chilling here. After entering this location, I may immediately move to a connecting location. If I do, reveal a random token from the chaos bag. If it is a skull, cultist, tablet, elder thing, or tentacle symbol, you draw the top card of the encounter deck. No, thank you. My first action was I moved there. My second action is I'm going to remove to room 245. 245 is a shroud value of 2, a clue value of 1. I can test intellect, and only the top card on my discard pile may be committed to this skill test. Place it on the bottom of your deck after this test resolves. Discard pile. Oh, interesting. If you succeed, move any number of clues controlled by investigators in room 245 to time 1 lock it if it's in play. So time 1 lock it is actually exactly what I need. So we are in a room, and I literally did not remember that. So that was just lucky. It made sense. It was the room that I could most easily get into. So I have done 2 actions. I have 1 more action. I'm going to, nope. You know what I want to do? I'm going to exhaust Lola. I'm going to spend 2 resources to get that clue, which is just a shroud value. And now I'm going to test a 3, 4. I can commit the top card of my discard pile. So I want to make sure I do this turn, which is why I didn't bother with the flashlight, because this is on the top of my discard pile, which is just worked out really well. So I'm going to commit only the top card. I'm going to commit this card from the top of my discard pile to this test. So I'm doing a 6 to a 3 to try to put a clue on the time 1 locket, which is exactly what I want to do. 6 to a 3, I pull a -1, I succeed. Now since I succeeded, this goes on the bottom of my deck after the test resolves. And I'm going to move a clue on the time 1 locket. So I have 1 clue on time 1 locket, which is exactly what I want. All right. So those are my 3 actions, right? I moved, I did Lola, that was a fast triggered ability, and then I tested the ability on 245 to put a clue, on time 1 locket. Now, we get to the enemy phase, so we're going to trigger the patrol keyword. This Arkham officer is already at a location with clues. This Arkham officer is going to join him there. Then we are going to go to upkeep phase. I'm going to ready Lola. I draw a card. It is manual dexterity. Should be pretty helpful to get me into room 212. And I'm going to take a resource. Mythos phase. I'm putting a second Doom on the agenda, and I'm grabbing the top encounter card. It is these guys again. So here's what I'm going to do. I do want multiple actions this turn, so I'm going to put a contract on them. I'm going to attack them with a free action. It's a 7 to a 3. It's actually 8 to a 3 because of the tattered cloak. -2, I succeed by 2. So this is that I take this contract, I put it on Tony Morgan, and these guys are done. Now I have 3 more actions. 1, I get to the 2nd floor hall. From there, I'm going to test this ability, because again, this tells me that this test is now on this hall, so I can do that. My base is 2. Lola gives me 3. Tattered Cloak gives me 4. No, it doesn't. Tattered Cloak doesn't give me anything. Oh, yeah, it does. For agility. So 4. So the 4 to a 4, 5, 6 with manual dexterity. And it's a good time for me to commit. Watch this. Gives me a 7 to a 4. And let's make it an 8 to a 4. No, I don't want to do it. I'm going to gamble a little bit. I'm going to put 2 on Watch This. If I win by 1, I can double that. Alright, so We're doing a 7 to a 4. Plus 1. I do succeed by at least 1, so I can double my money there. I draw a card because of manual dexterity. It's narrow escape. These go away. And since I succeed, I reveal 212 and I immediately move to it. It is a shroud value of 4, a clue value of 2. I can move clues. If I can test 3 agility, I can move clues to Sinister Solution. But Sinister Solution is not in play, so this room will not help me. Question is if I want to try to get those clues for the victory point, because again, one of the bonuses of side scenarios, they cost 3 experience to get in, but if you do well, you can get that experience back, plus some assets, plus maybe some more experience. But that one's going to be a tough one to get. Although I might give it one shot, and if it doesn't go well, then just run before anything else happens. So again, my 3 actions that turn were I killed the conspicuous staff, but that was a free action. I moved, I tested that. That test moved me there. Oh, I still have one more action. Is that right? Killed hotel staff. Move. I tested that moved me there. So I do have one more action. Let me get those 2 clues. I'm going to play the flashlight, which gives me a 4 to a 2. And hopefully get one of those clues. And I pulled a skull. Number of guessed enemies in play. That is 0. I get a clue. Rock on. So, enemy phase, upkeep phase. We're going to... Enemies stay there because there's still a clue on the second floor hall. I'm going to draw a card. Elusive is a nice card. I'm going to take a resource. Alright, Mythos phase. We're putting the 3rd Doom on the agenda. We're drawing the top encounter card. Humanoid guest nearest hall location. And she is aloof patrol. She goes to the nearest crime scene location. At the end of the enemy phase, if she's at a crime scene location, we add 1 Doom to hotel guest. We can test a 3 willpower or 3 intellect. If we succeed, we can discard her. It's a parlay test, and I have the tattered cloak out instead of my fine clothes. Perhaps not the greatest of decisions I've ever made. Alright, so my first action is I'm going to, as a fast action, going to exhaust Lola and use her ability. I'm going to spend 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and get this clue. So then my first action, see if I can parlay that hotel guest. Because 2 Doom around could be pretty rough. The floor is also a hall. I like that more. My first action, I'm going to move to the second floor hall. The hotel guest is aloof, so I have 2 more actions. I'm going to parlay a... No, I'm actually going to do it this way. I'm going to play this fast. Shortcut, choose an investigator location. With that, investigator any connected location. So now I still have 3 actions. Do I just want to kill her? No, I don't. Alright, so I'm going to test a 4 to a 3. I have 3 actions, so I think I have 3 tries at this. 4 to a 3, intellect. I get the 4 because of Lola. -1, I succeed. Hotel guest is parlay. Now you can do a parlay action against an aloof enemy. Since I succeeded, she's just discarded. You cannot do a evade action against an aloof enemy or a combat action against an aloof enemy. But you can do a parlay action, which is nice. So that was my first action because I used shortcut to get there. So it was nice to get that done right off the bat. Let me see what's on the roof. Maybe the Tome of Rituals is up there. It's a shroud value of 3, a clue value of 1. I can test 4 agility or 4 combat if I succeed to move to room 212, 225, or 245. Oh, that's interesting. So that's another way to get. So if I have good combat, it allows me to move into 212 without having to go through this, do this ability from the second floor hall. That's actually really cool. All right. I can test 3 willpower to move clues to the alien device. The alien device is not in play. So, what am I going to do? So my first action was to parlay. My second action was move to the hotel roof. My third action is going to be to test. I'll use my last flashlight, and I'm doing a 4 to a modified trial value of a 1 to get the 1 clue on the roof. I succeed. All right. Rock on. Enemy phase. Enemy hotel. The Arkham officers stay right there. Upkeep phase. I'm going to ready Lola. I draw a card. The man in the Palin mask. I told you we were playing Carcosa, kids. He goes in the farthest location. That's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I will put him in the basement. All right. So remember, there were 5 locations that were put out when we advanced the agenda. There was the hotel roof, hotel roof, the 212, 245. Oh, I get a resource too. Yeah, so 212, 245, the hotel roof, the office, and the basement. Right? So we have to just kind of think about how, again, it's reasoning through this. So the Tome of Rituals, we can assume the thing that allows us to get clues on it is either going to be found in the office or in the basement. Right? It's not going to be in the restaurant. The restaurant and the foyer were both in play at the beginning of the game. The office seems more likely that if Tome, Rituals, Cultists, which we added to the deck, they're probably going to be in the basement, right? So I'm going to put the Man in the Pallet Mask there too because I do want to try to kill him. I'm going to put 1 bounty on him to help make it easier to kill him with actions and the sort. Although, yeah, I think that makes sense. So I did my upkeep. We go to the Mythos phase. We put the 4th Doom on the agenda, and we draw the top encounter card. It is Chilling Presence. Now, this is one of the special cards. It's cool artwork on that card, too. I like that. All right, test 3 willpower. For each point you fail by, take 1 horror. For each point you succeed by, you may deal 1 damage to a Geist enemy at your location. If an Elder Thing is revealed during this test, you may deal 2 damage to a Geist enemy at any location. Now remember, it is a little dangerous because I only have 3 horror left there. My base willpower is 2. The Tattered Cloak does give me 1. So I have a willpower of 3. I have nothing to boost it in my hand. So we will pull this and see what happens. I think it might be time to say goodbye to our girl Lola. But that's just me. Alright. Elder Thing. Ooh. That's crazy. Elder Sign. So I can deal 2 damage to a Geist enemy at any location. There are no Geist enemies in play, but that might give you a clue about where the scenario is going, considering we have the Tome of the Time Worn Locket. Alright. So that was a nice success. Since I pulled the Elder Sign, I get to add 1 bounty to bounty contracts, which is nice. So I have 3 actions because I'm not going to get rid of Lola. although it was tempting. Sergeant Monroe is just an asset. He can be assigned damage and or horror dealt to any investigator at his location, even if he's uncontrolled. And it's a 3/3. When he is dealt any amount of damage or horror, exhaust him, deal that much damage to a non-innocent enemy at his location. Any investigator at Sergeant Monroe's location may trigger this ability. So with my 3 actions, I'm going to move from the hotel roof to the second floor hall. That's my first action. My second action is I'm going to move from the second floor hall to the foyer because I don't want to go to the restaurant yet. The foyer has a resign ability. You flee the scene of the crime. It has a shroud value of 2, a clue value of 1. Force. When you attempt to move out of the foyer while there is at least one guest enemy here, test agility X, where X is the number of guest enemies. If you fail, you must spend 1 additional action to move out of the foyer. Sergeant Monroe is not a guest, so we don't have to worry about that. And with my third action, I don't know if I want to go to the basement just yet. My third action, we're only 4 rounds in. I've already wiped everything else clean. I'll give it one try to get into the office. I have a base of 2, plus 1 for Lola, plus 1 for the tattered cloak. And so it's a 4 to a 3. Looking for a -1. Tablet is -3. You may place any one of your clues on your location to treat it as a -1 instead. Yes, please. So I treat it as a -1, so I succeed. If I succeed, you reveal the office and immediately move to it. It's a shroud value of 3, a clue value of 2. Test intellect 0. For each point you succeed, you may move 1 clue to an investigator. By an investigator in the office to the manager's key. If it is play, it is not. But I kind of want... Man, I'm getting greedy for victory points right now. Which isn't the worst thing. I mean, come on. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to exhaust Lola, spend my last 3 resources to get one of those clues. Alright. Mythos phase. Or enemy phase. Nothing. Mythos phase. I'm sorry, upkeep phase. I'm going to draw a card. It is Vantage Point, -1. Play after your location enters play or is revealed during an investigator's turn. Until the end of the investigator's turn, that location gets -1 shroud. You may move 1 clue to that location from any other location. That is perfecto. Alright, and I get a resource. I will definitely be using that to get the last clue of the office to give me another victory point. Alright, so we're going to the Mythos phase. This is the 5th Doom in play. And we're going to draw the top card on the encounter deck. It is Mr. Trumbly. He spawns in the foyer. He's a hunter. After he enters play, immediately resolve the hunter and patrol keywords on each other staff enemy in play. So Mr. Trumbly has a combat value of 4, and he has 5 health. I am going to put 1 contract on him. He's a victory point. He's going to be a giant pain in the butt. Should be able to kill him. Alright, so I'm going to move to the foyer. Oh, this is perfect, because Sergeant Monroe kind of gives me a get out of jail free card here. Alright, so I move to the foyer, I engage Mr. Trumbly. I'm going to use my free action, because I do have a contract on him, to use Switchblade. I am doing, he does not retaliate, so I'm doing a 7, 8, Mr. Tattercloak gives me 8 to a 4. I succeed by 2, so that's 2 damage. I'm doing an 8 to a 4. With my third action, I have 4. because I attacked an enemy with a contract on him or bounty on him. 8 to a 4. I succeed. So it's 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8 to a 4. Succeed, but I only succeed by. I don't succeed by 2, so it's only 1 damage. And it's weird. I'm gonna take a resource. No, I'm gonna try to kill him myself. Yeah, this is dumb. So I'm doing an 8 to a 4 to try to get 2 more damage on him. +1, I succeed. That's 5 health. Since I killed him, I get this contract. And he goes in the victory display, which will be out of play, but that's fine. Whoo! A lot of stuff happening here, kids. Alright, enemy phase, upkeep phase. I'm going to draw a card. Nice. I'm going to take a resource. We are going to go to the Mythos phase. This is 6. I draw the top encounter card. I can test. There's no innocent enemy in the victory display. If I fail, I'm not at the crime scene location, but if I fail, I take 2 horror. I don't know if that's what I want to do. I can kill Lola. That's fine. So I'm going to test a 3 to a 2. I succeed. Alright, my first action now is I am going to move to the basement. Alright, so the shroud value 4, clue value 1. Test 1 intellect. If you see, move a humanoid enemy at any location once toward the basement. After you defeat an enemy in the basement, move any number of clues controlled by investigators at the basement to the Tome of Rituals if it is in play. Oh, that's really strong. So I just need to defeat the man in the pallid mask. Happy to oblige. Alright, so I have a few more actions. I'm confused. Alright, so I'm going to spend 1 for Vantage Point. The play after a location enters play or is revealed during an investigator's turn. It was location gets -1 shroud, and you may move 1 clue to that location from any other location. So I'm moving 1 clue from the office to the basement, and now the basement shroud is only a 3. Done. So I have 2 actions left. Question is if I just want to kill the man in the pallid mask, or if I want to try to do the investigate +2 shroud ability. Don't really care about those clues. I already have 3. Alright, we're going to engage. Now again, he has a bounty on him, so engaging him doesn't, there's an additional action, right? So I moved, I engaged, now I have 2 actions. I'm going to attack him with a switchblade. So I have an 8 to a 4. I succeed by 2, so that's 2 damage. And then I'm doing an 8 to a 4 again. succeed, the man in the pallid mask is defeated. After you defeat an enemy in the basement and move any number of clues controlled by investigators, and that, by the way, Patrick Arcosa, this does count as chasing the strangers. So, side scenarios can be helpful in many ways. After defeating an enemy in the basement, move any number of clues controlled by investigators and the basement to the Tome of Rituals. If it is in play, it is. So I have 3 in the Tome, 1 on the Time Worn Locket. That is a pretty hellacious Shroud value from where I'm at. I do not feel like wasting too much more time. And any money I get, I do feel the need to get Leo in play sooner rather than later. Oh, when I killed him, that money was going to go on me. Because that's how the bounty contracts worked. So that was my 4 actions. Enemy phase, the Arkham officers stay right there. Upkeep phase, I draw a card. Logical reasoning, play only if you have 1 clue. I can heal 2 horror or discard a terror card from my threat area, which is a great card. But I do not have a clue. At least it gives me 2 willpower icons, and I'm going to take a resource. End of the round, I am going to advance. The Truth. Read scenario interlude The Truth on page 10 of the rules booklet. So, kids, buckle your seatbelts. Alright, if the Time Worn Locket and the Manager's Key are in play. They are. Alright. The Truth. Your investigation is halted by Sergeant Monroe, the very same police sergeant who had spurned your earlier warnings about the Excelsior Hotel. He is clearly exasperated by all of the strange happenings in the building and demands answers. Now listen here, he says, his hand twitching toward his holstered gun. I'm a reasonable man, but you're looking mighty suspicious. You better tell me everything that's going on right now, you understand? Or you're gonna take a one-way trip straight to the big house. Yeah, I'm gonna lie about my involvement, so that's gonna be skip to the truth 3. You do the only thing you can think to do in the moment. Lie through your teeth. After all, there is no way the police would understand all the strange occurrences within the hotel, and even if they did, you don't expect them to turn a blind eye to all of the evidence pointing in your direction. So the sergeant is only going to believe you if you successfully covered up your involvement. So if all of the following circumstances are true, we go to the truth 6. We cleaned up the blood, we hid the body, we tidied up the room. Yes, we did. And there are no innocent enemies in the victory display. Ding! Alright, so now we go to the truth 6. Sergeant Monroe nods along to your story, convinced. Alright, he says. Sounds like you really did have nothing to do with this, but maybe you can help me find the real culprit. Someone in this so damned hotel is a murderer, and we're going to find them. You breathe a sigh of relief. At least the police won't be a problem anymore. Remember that the police are on your side. Choose an investigator to take control of the Sergeant Monroe story asset. Move him to that investigator's threat area. What? It's still an ally slot, so... Assuming I still have to get rid of Lola, which is fine. Sergeant Monroe in the building. I don't know why it says threat area. I'm putting him in my play area because he's an ally. Alright, and I took control of him. Alright, so search the encounter deck, discard all players for each copy of the Arkham Officer, and remove them from the game. So these 2 Arkham Officers are out, as well as this guy. So shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. And go to the truth 7. Thanks to your cunning investigation, you now have a better idea of what's going on. You're not the real culprit here. There is much more happening behind the scenes of the Excelsior Hotel, and you're just caught in the middle. Alright, so we're going to go to, there are all these solutions based on the different combinations of leads. The 2 leads we have, again, the Time Worn Locket and the Tome of Rituals. We're going to go there, and we're going to read the rules for that. If the Time Worn Locket and the Tome of Rituals are in play, they are. The woman in the locket was killed many years ago in one of the Enclave's many blood sacrifices. Its hate and malice for the cult is what drove it to possess you, and what drove it to kill. Its fury must be satisfied, and you are its righteous agent. It is up to you to direct that fury to its rightful source, the cult that infests the hotel. All right, so we found out all the stuff going on in this hotel right now is because of this stupid cult, and the cult infests the hotel. And I was possessed by this locket to kill, so I actually did kill the guy. But shh, we don't tell Sergeant Monroe because we convinced him otherwise. So I'm going to remove all doom from play. We're going to advance the act and the agenda deck, so both of these guys come out. And we take all these away, and we're going to replace that with the True Culprit version 7. There were 10 versions of True Culprit. We get 7. So it's an interesting kind of card because the agenda is unlike anything you've ever seen. That number is the doom threshold. All right. Each guest enemy loses victory 0, loses innocent, and gains cultist. Each lead asset gains. If dimensional shambler is in your location, remove 1 clue from this asset. Evade. Automatically evade dimensional shambler. If there are no cultist enemies in play, advance. Okay, that's fine. So we're going to spawn the dimensional shambler in the basement. That sounds bad. Alright, so he's a hunter. After dimensional shambler deals you damage from its attack, reveal a random token from the chaos bag. If the tentacles is revealed, it snatches you from this dimension. Remove dimensional shambler from the game, and you are defeated. Well, that's risky. So this guy's engaged with me. He's a shroud value. A combat value of 4 and only 4 health. I can kill him with Switchblade. Switchblade is so strong sometimes. Yeah, there's definitely a reason they nerfed it. I won't be surprised if they nerf it a little bit more in the future. All right, shuffle each guest enemy in the victory display. There are none. Into the encounter deck, along with the encounter discard pile. Discard cards in the top of the encounter deck until 1+1 per investigator guest or cultist enemies are discarded. Randomly spawn each of those enemies in a different crime scene location if able. There are 4, 5 crime scene locations, and we're going to randomly do this. I'll use my die. Alright, so we're going to we shuffled everything in, discarding a card on the top until we get 2. So we're basically killing 3 things. We need guest or cultist. So the conspicuous staff does not count. No guest. So the hotel guest is no longer a guest, it's an evil cultist. So she is going to spawn at a random location, along with, looking for one more. Oh, we got all the chilling. One more hotel guest. All right, not bad. So my crime scene locations are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I'm going to roll a die, randomly spawn each of these enemies in a different crime scene location. So I rolled a 3, so this one's going to go into room 212. And we're going to put this one in a different location. 3, nope, got to be a different location. 3, what the heck? Die weighted 2. So sweet balcony. Patrol, nearest crimes, they're already there. So I'm going to have to go there. That's going to be hard to do. But I have elusive, so okay. I think we can pull this off pretty easily. So that was the end of the round. So we go to the Mythos phase. We place 1 doom on the agenda. And we draw the top encounter card. Top encounter card is these idiots. Oh, what do I want to do? I'm going to definitely put 1 on him. I'll put 1 on both of them. They lose innocent and gain cultive, but they're still aloof. This guy comes in. I have no more bounties, but that is fine. So, what am I going to do? I'm doing a lot of attacking. He does not have retaliate, so that's better. And honestly, I don't need to kill these guys because I have elusive, which is better. Alright, so we're doing a 8 to a 4. Again, it's 5 plus 2 for Switchblade plus 1 for Tatter Cloak. 8 to a 4. And this is my free action because I'm attacking a guy with a bounty on him. Minus number of guest enemies in play. Technically, they lose guest, but that's fine. So it's really 0, but either way, I succeed by 2. So that's 2 damage to the Dimensional Shambler. I have 3 actions left. I'm doing an 8 to a 4. Auto lose. Ooh. I'm doing an 8 to a 4 as my third action. Come on. Tablet is minus 3. I have no clues, so I cannot place one on the location. So that is the third damage. And with my last action, it's not going as smoothly as I had hoped. In my third action, I'm doing an 8 to a 4. I succeed. The Dimensional Shambler is dead. Alright, so now we just need to kill those 2 and call this a day. So, enemy phase. The Conspicuous Staff is going to attack. I can deal it to Sergeant Monroe. So it's 1 horror, 1 damage, and I can exhaust him. And I can deal that much damage to a non-innocent enemy at my location. So I'll deal 1 damage to the Conspicuous Staff. Alright, enemy phase, upkeep phase. I'm going to ready Sergeant Monroe. I draw a card, the 41 Derringer. I take a resource. Mythos phase. Now they stay there because they're still patrolling to the nearest crime scene location, and they're both good there. I put 1 Doom on the agenda, and we draw the top encounter card. Eesh. It's willpower 2. I will commit that. I have a base of 2 plus 1 to the Tatted Cloak plus 2 to the logical reasoning. So it's a 5 to a 2. There are no innocent enemies in the victory display. Elder Thing. I succeed. I put a bounty contract on my bounty. I add 1 to my bounty contracts, which is nice. Alright. I am going to spend 2. It's a fast action. This guy doesn't matter. So I'm going to spend 2. I disengage from him, and I go to any revealed location with no enemies. So the second floor hall will count. That's 1. My second action is I'm going to move into the suite balcony. So that was fast. So my first action is move to the suite balcony. My second action is I'm going to engage with a hotel guest. Since there's a bounty on her, that is a free action. That is an additional action. So I have 2 more actions. I'm going to attack her, 8 to a 1. She's dead. Lose victory 0. Loses innocent and gains cultist. Alright, so she just goes into the discard pile. I get this money. And then with my third action, because fast, elusive was fast, I moved. Engagement was an additional action, attack, and now I have 1 more action. I'm going to go back to the second floor hall. Enemy phase. We're going to resolve the Hunter Keyword. Conspicuous Staff is going to come after me. So they go to the foyer. I draw a card. I take a resource. Mythos phase. We're putting the 3rd Doom on the agenda. We grab the top encounter card. It is blood on your hands. Alright, I am going to, I have no clues. I'm going to commit forewarned. I'm doing a 4 to a 2. It's 2 plus 1 to the Tattered Cloak, plus 1 because of this icon. Minus 4, I lose. I'm not at the crime scene location, but I take 2 horror, which I will give to Sergeant Monroe. So he's dead. Nope, maybe I won't. I'll give one to me and one to Monroe. So ding, ding, just in case. Some things. Thinking if he's in my control, I might be able to keep him as an asset, and he's definitely an asset I would like to have, so we'll see how that works out. Yeah. So, investigation phase, I am going to move. I engage. It's an additional action because there's a contract. A 201. And bing, I succeed. She's dead. She goes into the discard pile. There are no innocent cultists. There are no cultist enemies in play. So we can advance. And we'll flip this over. Says if this agenda advanced because you completed its objective. The book is closed now, and as you fasten the latch and tuck it under your arm, you hope and pray that you can keep it safe and that it will never be opened again. You know firsthand that only madness lies within its weathered pages, and it is now up to you to protect it from falling into the wrong hands. You breathe a bit easier and find some measure of comfort in knowing that the strange goings-on of the Excelsior have been put to rest, at least for now. So we closed the tome of rituals. Yes, we did. All right. So what is happening now? I never even use these. So these things just allowed me. I could have spent. I could have just spent a clue to automatically evade the dimensional shambler, but honestly, I just didn't need to. So, yeah, it's a really combat-heavy side scenario. So Tony Morgan was kind of the ideal person to use it with. All right, so we're going to R1. How does this end? R1. Nobody will believe what you witnessed at the Excelsior. Not 3 days later. The hotel was open again, like nothing had ever happened. You know better, though. You witnessed it all firsthand. The events continue to haunt your dreams and your waking thoughts. Even now you go on your way to avoid the Excelsior, though weeks have passed and there has been no sign of any other nefarious schemes within its accursed walls. The only thing that can quiet the echoing memories of that horrible experience is a visit to the local speakeasy. But all the booze in the world can't keep the grisly visions from your nightmares, waking you in the dead of the night with a violent start soaked in sweat. That's when you notice the person asking around town about the Excelsior. Innocent questions at first, but more prodding with each passing day. Surely they will believe you. Somebody has to. You may have broken free of the Excelsior's grasp, but there will be other victims, of that you are sure. You grab a piece of paper and hastily scribble a note. It's all a facade. Room 225, tonight. It's not over. If they can see past the veil of the Excelsior's operations, then maybe others can too. It may not be too late to stop it all from happening again. Oh, are we in a weird, twisted circle? Maybe. We'll find out. All right. In your campaign log, record that the Excelsior is quiet for now. Excelsior is quiet for now. The lead investigator must add the what have you done weakness to your deck. Don't love it. So the what have you done weakness. I don't know why I don't know if I was supposed to get this earlier. I might have messed up. I don't think it would have mattered. So just supposed for you to parlay. You must discard a random card from your hand. I only parlayed once. Oh, okay. I was supposed to put that in play. Yeah, so I would have had at some point I would have had a parlay. I just had to discard a random card. I mean, who knows? I don't see a world where that would have mattered. It would have changed some things, not others. But such is life. So, yep, reading every sentence of every card. Strikes again. So, sorry for that. The mistake was made and fixed in my head for next time. Maybe. Alright. I already took one of these out. So, I have to add that to my deck, which is fine. They all may also choose to add Bloodstained Dagger as well. Bloodstained Dagger, I have no interest in you at all. So I will not be adding that. Alright. If the police are on your side, they are. Any one investigator may choose to add Sergeant Monroe to their deck. This card does not count toward the investigator's deck size. I will definitely take Sergeant Monroe. It's a very nice shield. Definitely means I'm going to want to get Charisma, but I will take Sergeant Monroe for sure. Nope. And experience equal to victory X in the victory display. So my experience is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 experience. It's a very, very strong side scenario for me. This scenario does not normally go this well in my experience. It is the first time I'm playing it solo, but it's also the first time I'm playing it with a pretty strong rogue character and got some very good cards early to really do some cool things. So one thing about the Arkham DB app does not have the Murder at the Excelsior Hotel side scenario for some reason. I don't know why, but I mean it is what it is. So I'm gonna add the 7 experience, and we're gonna save that. And it should give me 7 available experience to spend before I go back to my Path to Carcosa campaign. So that is that. Thank you for joining me. I hope this was a nice introduction to both Tony Morgan as well as to the Murder at the Excelsior Hotel. For some of you who may not have seen it yet, the one thing I will show, since they never came up, I did not get either of my assets. I also did not pull my my special weakness. My basic weakness was Psychosis. That didn't come up either, but so all 4 of these cards are at the bottom of my deck. So there's Tony's Quarry. What you'll see there is it's a deep one. So basically, when this comes in play, all that happens is that both a bounty and a doom go on it, and if you don't kill it, there's really no badness. So he's come out a few scenarios. I've never actually been close to him. He's a location farthest from you. I don't. It's almost not bad enough, and I don't say that about weaknesses. So, it is what it is. Thank you, Arkham, for giving me a character that doesn't have a weakness that totally destroys my soul. And then meanwhile, the 38 Long Colt. So there's a couple of interesting things about the Long Colt. If you have both copies of the Long Colt in your hand, because you have 2 of them, you can put them both in play at the same time for the price of 1, but there is 2 hand slots, so you got to be careful about that. But when you spend an ammo, you get +1 combat for each bounty that's on the enemy that you're attacking, and if your attack kills that bounty, you actually add another bounty to your bounty contracts card. So there's a nice cycle there that if you can put a bounty on an enemy, kill the enemy, you get another bounty contract for your bounty contract card. So there's some cool things there. The attacks only do +1 damage, but again, you get the +1 combat for each bounty. So if you put 3 bounties on one enemy when they enter play, obviously you're going to get a +3 to fight, which can make a huge difference against some much tougher enemies. All right, so that is that. Again, any questions, comments, epiphanies, please put them in the comments below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Again, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough, and I will be back next week with something else. We will see what comes up. But till next time, happy gaming. Thanks for watching.